Conor versus Gaethje, this seems to be the rumor that just won't go away. And in many ways, I do feel like an "I told you so" might be owed my way. Now, I will admit, I didn't tell you it was going to be Conor versus Gaethje. I think I told you it would be Conor versus either Gaethje or Nate Diaz. I was leaning towards Nate Diaz. But what I did tell you and where I was right is that once everybody in leadership gets the calendar out and realizes this whole Khabib thing versus Conor is a little premature, considering Khabib has Tony. Oh, and considering, by the way, that's in April. Oh, and considering, by the way, this whole conversation started in January. We don't even know who's going to win that fight. Let's say it goes to the favorite, to the undefeated Nurmagomedov. Okay. But then Khabib has already told us that he's sitting out Ramadan, which doesn't make him available. I want to say it was until September 13th. That's off the top of my head, but I for sure have the September part right. And that's if you match Khabib and Conor right away. Now, that's all fine and cool in the gang with Khabib. That's the timeline that he laid out. Of course, he's going to like it. That just doesn't work for Conor. Conor's back and busy. Conor's turning his life around. I mean, who are we to get in the way of Conor using sport as a way of turning his whole life around? Going to being a better person, getting back to his roots. I mean, this is a positive story. This is a feel-good story. Not to mention the business element. Look, Conor Mania is real. Conor Mania is alive and well. I was never confident in telling you guys that. Was I confident telling you Conor was a big... Sure I was. But that Conor Mania can stand and live on its own? No, I was never confident in telling you that until after the Cerrone fight. Until after that week and that experience that I witnessed with my own eyes. The reason for that, Conor was in a fight where half the time you didn't know if he was the A side or the B side. I mean, even looking back, was he the A side or the B side versus Jose Aldo? Jose was the champ. He was 10 years undefeated. Conor was the up-and-comer, but he walked first. Jose walked second. I mean, was he the A side or the B side? Now, you go ahead and answer that question, but I would ask you the same question when he went and took on Eddie Alvarez. I realized Conor's star had skyrocketed, and ultimately you're going to say that he was the bigger deal. I get all those things, but I would ask you the same question when he went against Mayweather. That was a really tricky one to answer, isn't it? Conor was the hottest thing in MMA versus the hottest thing, one of the hottest things in all of sport. Not just in sports, in all of sports. So Conor, my point being, Conor's been in these magnificent, high-magnitude, world title, crossover, crazy, extravagant matches. That's not what this was with Cowboy. This had to do with competition. It had to do with respect. It had a lot to do with old school aspects as opposed to the new school aspects that happened in the entertainment era. There was less media, less tours, less of the things you expect with Conor. Oh, and should I mention the fourth biggest gate in history, an absolute sellout, what could only be classified as minutes? By the way, half the arena was Irish people that flew over from another country. Conor is so popular that they are boarding airplanes and flying to a different country to watch him. Are you listening to what I'm saying? Conor Mania is real. It's real. And I think that for anybody to suggest that we put that out to September when we have an able, willing, ready participant, I think with a little bit of time to digest and stand back and look at things is going to change their mind. And that's exactly what happened. And I predicted that. So good for me. I'm sure you guys predicted it too, though, in all fairness, right? This is nothing new. Now, whoever gets the Conor fight is getting a very big insult, whether they know it or not. Now, they want that fight. There is some notoriety that comes along with Conor. There's some money that comes along with Conor. There's a main event spot waiting for you that comes along with Conor. There's some things that you can steal from Conor. One thing about this sport that's true, whatever a guy comes in the ring with, if you beat him, you take it all. All the chips are on the table at all times. Doesn't have to be 1 versus 2. It can be 1 versus 18. 18 beat 1, 18 becomes number 1. So if Conor goes into this fight as a number 1 contender and Gaethje takes it from, Gaethje just became a number 1 contender. Now, I understand you have to have the power of the pin, and there's some politics in this space. I'm well aware of those things. But as far as broad strokes and public perception, if Conor is the number 1 contender and Gaethje gets the jump on him, Gaethje gets to be the number 1 contender. It's very interesting, particularly if they are going to go and fight at 170 pounds. But that's what happened in Conor's last fight, and we were told that was for a number one contendership at 155. So if that was true then, and it's true now, and maybe it's a thing that's unique to Conor, but we're still discussing Conor. So if we're discussing Conor, who wants Gaethje, by the way, it's at 170. Now, why I say it's an insult is nobody wants to get in the way of Conor versus Khabib. You're trying to serve multiple masters at one time, okay? You got a hold of the right tool. Sometimes you're just holding it by the wrong end. It's one of those things. You got the hammer, but you're swinging the handle. It's one of these things. The reason I say whoever is getting offered the Conor fight is getting insulted is because if we can all agree, and I think that we do, we don't want to disrupt Conor versus Khabib, or what could be Conor versus Tony. That means whoever's going to get brought in is getting brought in, at least in theory, to do the JOB. And that's okay. That's okay, because you will have your opportunity under the unified rules to flip the script and shove that up everybody's ass. But that's still what it is. And I think as you look at Justin Gaethje, I think you want to know the right answer to, well, we got a problem at 155 and we don't know what to do. Anytime you have that, well, what should we do here? And it happens to be at 155. The answer every time without thinking is Justin Gaethje. You present to me any matchup problem you have at 155 pounds where you have a top guy and you don't know who to put him with. Any problem that you face, the answer is always Justin Gaethje. Nobody will argue. Everybody's happy. Nobody knows what Justin Gaethje's record even is. They don't. He came over at like 15-0 and then won a fight or two and then lost a fight or two. No one knows. It doesn't matter. He's one of those. It doesn't matter. He could win his last fight, but he could have lost it too. It doesn't matter. He has something he's going to bring, and he brings it very consistently, also known as 100% of the time. It's skill, it's heart, it's guts, it's on the line regardless of the opponent. He wrestled that same way. He had outstanding wrestling accolades. Quite frankly, when I address it, you're a good wrestler. That's where it ends. He had great wrestler results. He has some intangibles. He is going to go hard, and he's not going to be intimidated, and he's not going to beat himself. In wrestling, it's more visible than it is in mixed martial arts, where a guy beats himself, where a guy goes into a match, he knows he can't win. It's a tournament situation. Let me get out of here. I've got to move on. I'm not getting past this one anyway. Why hang in there and make this a dogfight? The result's going to be the same. So let me just go beat myself and be fresh for my next one. I mean, some of these things like this happen in wrestling, not with Gaethje. You drew Gaethje, you're in a dogfight. End of story. It's just a real consistency that he has. And everybody would like to see Conor fight Gaethje. I think that even if you wanted to be hard on Gaethje and go, he's not quite fast enough to go with Conor. Well, great. If you want Conor to win, great. Go right ahead. Do that fight. If you think this is all about speed, okay, great. Bet on Conor. That's what Gaethje wants anyway. So go ahead and put Gaethje down 10 different ways if that's what makes you feel good. He's happy to let you. He's just going to stab you in the back as soon as they shut that door. And he's going to do everything that he can to win. I just think that match works. I also have a little bit of inside information that they were more interested in doing the Nate Diaz fight. I don't have any information beyond that. I would feel very comfortable in speculating to you that Nate is just a little bit tougher to deal with than Gaethje. Nate would love that fight, but Nate's had that fight. Oh, by the way, Nate's had that fight again. And I just don't know that Nate's in the same spot. Nate's in a little different category where he can be a little harder on you. He's well aware of his worth. He's well aware where a trilogy fight against Conor is going to do. That is going to move the needle just a little bit more, and he'd like a little bit more participation. I'm guessing this for you, but I'm guessing this for you with confidence. Okay, it's called a hypothesis. A hypothesis is a guess based around evidence. So I'm guessing based around evidence known as history being the greatest trajectory for the future. When we look at Conor versus Gaethje, I do have to wonder at what weight class that would be. And I think the next thing that we're going to have to do is to get out a calendar and figure out where this is going to go. Because the calendar that has been laid out thus far is full. The calendar's full. So where are these guys going to go? Would we dare make this a co-main event? Could you imagine? That's almost blasphemy. So I guess I would predict for you that all the dates haven't been revealed and something's going to get added. I think it would be very reasonable to assume that that's going to be prior to September, roughly 4 months. which would give Conor an opportunity to compete, become the official number one contender, understand whether that's going to be Khabib or Tony, go into training camp, and prepare.